I will, in the first part of this webinar, I will introduce you with the Power BI. I'm Jovan Markovic and I am from BEXEL Consulting. So in the first half of the webinar, I will introduce with the Power BI and how you can make interactive reports, export from the BEXEL Manager and create interactive Power BI reports and publish to other participants on the project. In the other half of this webinar, my colleague Uroš Jovanovic will present you how you can use API, CSharp API to create some scripts in the BEXEL Manager in order to automate a repetitive job and in order to customize BEXEL Manager to your needs. I will now try to share my screen. Okay, I hope all participants can see my screen. And also, I forgot to mention that if you have any question, you can use Q&A window and write down the questions, and my colleagues and me will try to answer all your questions. Okay. First, I want to say that if you all are not familiar with Power BI, that Power BI is business analysis tool and is used to create very interactive reports and in Power BI you can import data from various data sources. So BEXEL Manager is integrated with Power BI desktop application. Power BI desktop application can be downloaded from Microsoft Downloads, Power BI Microsoft Downloads section. So you can download Power BI desktop application and that application is completely free to use. And also in Microsoft documentation, you have detailed explanation how you can install Power BI desktop application and how you can import data into Power BI. So I will not go through this process because it's very detailedly described on the Microsoft documentation. Okay. In order to publish data to the Power BI, you should click on that Power BI button from the BEXEL Manager. I will now click on that button and pick destination folder in which I will save a Power BI file. And now all the data from this project is being published to that file. Exactly what is happening. Power BI is built on top of our reporting system. So when we hit when we click on Power BI button, all Excel files, HTML files, or all files which we have, we can export in different windows in the BEXEL Manager are published in one location in our hard drive, and all the data from this project is exported to that location. Later, we can load that data to the Power BI template and make interactive reports. In order to go to that location where all exports is happening, we can go open Up Data folder, go to BEXEL. Sorry, we should go to program data. Okay, BEXEL, temp. So there are all folders in which we have various exports from the BEXEL Manager, from the project I have already opened. For example, if we go to the progress folder, we have one Excel file for each schedule we have current in the project. Okay, now Power BI export is finished from our project, so we can double click on that Power BI file. And as you can see now, that template is empty. It's not, and any data is not loaded into that Power BI. So in order to load data, you should hit that refresh button. And now all the data is loaded into Power BI file from that temp folder on your hard drive. So for each schedule, we have yet one Excel file, for example. For cost assignments, for each cost version, we have one Excel file. So if we go to the assigned items, we see that we have three cost versions here, and that those Excel files which are exported to cost assignments folder are exactly the same Excels we get when we hit on that export button from assigned items window. Also, we have exported, we have HTML file for each class job. And also we have properties Excel where we have all the properties and the quantities from the properties which are exported from the BIM model. Okay, it takes a minute or two to load data to Power BI report. But I can immediately try to show you how will look like Power BI report online in the meantime while this is publishing. Okay, when that data is loaded to Power BI file, PBX file, in the Power BI desktop application, you can publish that Power BI to the web. And when you do that, okay, now data is published, loaded into Power BI file. So now you have data loaded, and if we go to our tabs in Power BI report, you can see that the data is loaded. We have clashes, we have 5D estimation, just to pick cost version which have data. Okay, we have progress information where we have option to compare two different versions of the schedule, for example, planned versus actual, and we have also Gantt chart. So in order to publish that data to the web, you should only click to publish, save changes. I can publish that to my Power BI workspace. And now all the data is publishing from my Power BI desktop report to the web. Okay, success. So now I can go to my Power BI account. My workspace, reports, and there I can see all the reports I have published to Power BI. Okay, I think this project I published right now. Yes, okay. And now we have all the tabs we had in the desktop application. So if we want to publish that data and get URL which can send to other people, we can go to File, Publish to Web, just click on Publish, and now we can copy a link and send that link to other participants who want to see our reports. And it's very important to say that from now on, when you send to someone that URL, they don't have to have Power BI account or Power BI application. They only should have link and they can access to data you have sent them. So that's the way how Power BI data, how the data from the BIM project can be published to Power BI, and how these interactive reports can be built by few clicks from the BEXEL Manager. So everything is fully interactive. So we can click on some tasks and quantities or tasks cash flow is filtered. So we see where when in the project we have this task. Also, we have resources and so on. And I also wanted to say that we are planning release of next public version of BEXEL Manager in the next week, and we will publish new Power BI template which contain much more data than currently available Power BI template, which we distribute with the public version of BEXEL Manager. So now we have two more sheets which present earned value analysis inside Power BI. So by a few clicks, you can publish data from the BEXEL Manager to Power BI, and you immediately will have ability to see earned value analysis and how your project is performing. So we have two new tabs which are really important that are earned value tab and resources earned value tab. Earned value tab is used from for cost analysis for the whole project, and we have cumulative S curves with planned value cost, actual cost. That red line is cost from the current actual schedule, which is selected right there. That green line is planned value. This is baseline schedule S curve. And we also have that earned value line and that actual cost line. We see that earned value line is smaller than actual cost. So that's because we spent more money than we planned. Also, we have baseline cost, actual cost, earned value, cost variance, schedule variance, and all other parameters which are important for the earned value analysis and for tracking how your project is performing. Also, you can see completed cost, earned value cost, and completed duration. Also, for each task, you can see all the important KPIs which are defined by the earned value analysis. You can see cost performance index, and now cost performance index is shown for whole project. But for example, you can select only one task and then to see all the analysis for exactly one task. For example, if we want to see for foundation earned value, then we filtered out earned value S curves only for that task, and also we have completed cost, completed duration, earned value for task which we have selected. Also, cost performance index and schedule performance index are shown only for the selected tasks. We can reset filters, and then we have earned value analysis which takes into account whole schedule. Also, we have S-curve for the project, and we can see cost variance and schedule variance through the time. So this report is very important when you want to know how your project is performing, and it's generated by 1 or 2 clicks. Also, it's very important to have earned value analysis based on the resources. And this sheet represents earned value resources. Uh, uh, and for resources, we have earned value analysis based on cost and on the quantity. For example, if we are interested in one type of the resources, for example, carpenters, then on the left hand side, we can see earned value analysis based on cost, and on the right side, we can see earned value analysis based on resource quantities, basically on the quantity of man hours of carpenters on that project we are currently seeing. So we can see, for example, that cost in current actual schedule is smaller than the cost we planned for the carpenter resources. So earned value is greater than actual cost, because we are paying, for example, carpenter a smaller amount than we planned, and quantity of the man hours for carpenter stays the same on the end of the project. Only some tasks are delayed, so that S-curve from the current schedule is shifted to the right than that planned curve of quantity in the baseline schedule. Also, we can see cost performance index and schedule performance index for the cost values, and also quantity performance index and schedule performance index for the quantity. So we can see that quantity is not the changed quantity of man hours for the carpenters. So quantity performance index is 1 through all whole schedule. And we can see schedule performance index that is smaller than 1 because we have delays in that in the schedule. So we also have shifted that quantity curve for the actual schedule. And also that the same analysis we have for the equipment resources and also for the material resources. But on the current project, we don't have material resources, and there is the reason why those tables are empty currently. Okay, and I wanted to explain one more thing, and that is how you can create your own Power BI report from the scratch if you are not satisfied for some reason with our Power BI template, which comes with the BEXEL Manager. So I will go, for example, to the schedule editor, and I will export Excel from the charts. Okay, now I have that Excel file generated from the schedule. And when I open that Excel file, as you can see, the data is in the blue sheets. So in order to customize or make your own Power BI reports, you should in more depth see how the data is structured in those Excel files in order to make your custom reports. So, for example, if we see activity data sheets, in that sheet we see that we have for each day information and for each activity, information about activity cost, actual activity cost, remaining cost, quantity, and so on. So if we want, for example, directly in Excel file to make some analysis, we can just create pivot table from that sheet, insert pivot table, okay, pick activity cost for summation, okay, and we can create chart. I think it's more visual. Insert pivot chart, okay, activity cost for summation, and use start date for XX, ungroup, okay, and now we created cash flow directly in Excel, so we can see how cash flow looks like for that project. But if we want to do the same thing in the Power BI, we can do that. We will just go to Power BI desktop. Okay, I have second screen and Power BI open on my second screen, but we now have blank Power BI template, and we can load that Excel file which we have exported from the BEXEL Manager and pick that Excel as source of information. Go to PBI demonstration, okay. And now Power BI suggests us all the tables, lists all the tables with the data which are presented in that Excel file. So I will pick that activity data table, and as you can see, that activity data table have all the columns from which I already made that pivot chart of the cash flow. So I will check to load activity data and then hit on load. We will wait a few seconds just for data to be loaded. Okay, and then in data model, we see that data is loaded. And by using one click, we can create chart. And if we want to create cash flow, we will sum activity cost. And on the X-axis, we will drop start date. Okay, and now we have the same cash flow we have in the BEXEL Manager generated in Power BI, and we can publish that to web, get the URL to that Power BI report and send that custom report we have made to other participants in the project. So I think that's all I wanted to show you about Power BI. And as you can see, if someone is familiar with Excel and how pivot tables and pivot charts works inside Excel, I think that those people can easily make custom reports in the Power BI. And okay, I think now Uroš will present you API. So I will now stop sharing my screen, and I hope Uroš will share his screen.
All right, thank you, Johan. Should anyone have any questions about Power BI and about the topics that we will talk today, feel free to write them in the Q&A, and we will allocate some time towards the end to answer those questions. And also our colleagues are answering them as we speak as well. So without further ado, I will just now share my screen. I hope everyone can hear me well. If something is not right or you cannot see my screen, just feel free to let me know. And the next topic in today's presentation will be an introduction to BEXEL Manager's API. So basically, we will cover some basics on the API, the benefits of using it. We will go through some technology that is used behind the API, and also we'll demonstrate a couple of practical examples both in BEXEL Manager and Visual Studio environment. So let's begin. Uh, the term API, most of you may be familiar with it. It's an acronym for Application Programming Interface. These are a couple of definitions that are popular online. So basically, it is a software intermediary that allows two applications to talk to each other, or that an API specifies how software components should interact. So when we're talking about public or open API, it is meant to describe an API that is publicly available. So the API we will be talking about today is something that is publicly available, that we publish to our clients and our users to use freely, and it is available, of course, to other participants, not just inside one organization. And the term IDE, which will be used throughout this webinar, is meant to describe an integrated development environment. Such will be Visual Studio when we get to that. So what are the benefits of using BEXEL Manager API? So the BEXEL Manager API basically allows us to customize or extend existing functionalities inside BEXEL Manager. So the API doesn't really add anything new to the table, but allows users to programmatically consume the functionalities inside BEXEL Manager and also to expand upon them using the API. So for example, to aggregate some information that is available already inside software and display it in maybe a way that is more suitable to you or your company, or to basically add upon something that already exists, as we will see in a couple of minutes when we get to practical examples. Another use of BEXEL Manager API is to automate repetitive or time-consuming tasks. So many times you or your company may have a protocol when you create new projects. So when you create a new project inside BEXEL Manager, your usual workflow is maybe to create a couple of folders for selection sets and create some selection set structure, or to add some properties to certain families that you are missing from your authoring tool, and you wish to add them on each element in the project every time you start a new project or update an existing project. So for that use cases, BEXEL Manager API can be used to create really simple scripts that can do this for you automatically, so you don't have to click away every time you create a new project or spend time like doing this repetitive work. And finally, the BEXEL Manager API allows us to connect with other third-party software. So you can extend and connect with ERP or SAP systems, or connect to a external database, exchange information with some other system that may be in the cloud or desktop. It doesn't really matter, as long as they also have a way to connect. We can use the API to exchange information. Regarding technology, since BEXEL Manager is built upon .NET framework, we found it naturally to expose the API in C# language primarily. So using C# language requires some basic knowledge about object-oriented programming, or OOP, and it is really similar to other popular OOP languages such as Java, JavaScript, C++, or TypeScript. So if you are familiar with such languages, you will have no problem transitioning to C# or even Python for that matter. It's really similar and really easy to use, really user friendly. So as it is a part of Microsoft's .NET framework and that whole ecosystem, it is really well documented. It is also really mature, and it has been existing for quite some years now. There is a large knowledge base available online regarding C# and .NET, so you will have no issues in searching for something that you may wish to accomplish with C#. And finally, for developing full-on add-ons, we recommend using Visual Studio IDE. There are free versions available online from their official site. When we are talking about extensions to BEXEL Manager, we are basically referring to a couple of things. So we got, so to say, levels to extending the BEXEL Manager software platform. The first one and the most basic one is to write scripts. So as I mentioned, for those repetitive time-consuming tasks, we can write simple scripts that we can run directly inside BEXEL Manager. There is no third-party IDE required to do so, as we will see in a minute. And the next tier would be commands. So this is basically suitable for some fire and forget actions, which don't require some advanced user interface to control. So basically you just have your command and you can execute it directly from BEXEL Manager. And the third tier is for the more complex use cases, which may require some additional user interface for user to interact with. So basically it also allows us to have a custom placement in the BEXEL Manager ribbon. We will also see that. So you can have a dedicated button in BEXEL Manager and a group of buttons or a tab even to that matter, and yeah, build really rich full-on applications inside BEXEL Manager, which may do various things just depending on what you wish to accomplish, to connect to a third-party database or to an external service or connect with some other software. And with that out of the way, I will jump right in to BEXEL Manager. So our familiar sample model here is loaded, and we'll jump into something that is called API console. So API console basically allows us to type in C# code directly inside BEXEL Manager. So there is no need to install Visual Studio for this use case. Just type in the code here, and of course you may find yourself guessing where to start. So we always load this kind of a sample script here, so you can just see what it does and maybe analyze it and see how you can start from there. And also we highly encourage you to visit our website on the BEXEL Manager API page. You can find out a lot more about what the API is, how it can be used, and also there is a full-on technical documentation available. And in this documentation, you can find all the classes, the properties, the methods that are available and exposed through the API for you to use. And it is really well documented, and every class and every method and property is documented so you can see what it does. And usually the main starting point is always the project class, because we want to access the project and then we want to do something with it. So if we go back to BEXEL Manager, I will go ahead and create a new script. And starting around BEXEL Manager 20, we developed this kind of functionality inside this editor, so you can have some basic auto completion features. So if you type something like project and dot, it will display you what is available on this project. So in this static context, we only have the access to active project. Of course, if we for example hover over this, the summary will tell us what this active project does. This is also the same text that is displayed in the documentation. So the active project returns the naturally the currently active project. So I will go ahead and do that. So I wish to get the active project in this variable, and what can I do with that? Let's try it and return project dot. And if we now see, we can access all these things inside the project. So we got our buildings, categories, cost, date created, and so on. Let's go with something simple for starters and just type in full name. And if we click run, it will return the full name of this project as we can see it in the title bar here. So if we type in like get me all the elements, and say, for example, let's get the count of these elements. I will clear this now. It says, okay, we got around 11,000 elements. And let's say we want to get the first element, we will type first. And for example, we want to get the family name of that element, we will type family.name. And if we click execute, we can see that this is the family name of the first element in the collection. In a similar fashion, we can say get me. If we go to schedules and say, okay, I want to have, let's say, for example, we wish to know what is the total count of schedules in the project. So it says there are 6 schedules. Let me just quickly just save this. Okay, we'll call that new script. And if we go to schedule editor, we can really see that there are 6 schedules available. So we'll go back to this and we will just say again, okay, get me project, active project, and return project dot schedules dot active schedule. So we want to get the active schedule. We will say, okay, get me the name of this active schedule. If we click executed, it says it's actual uniform based 2-level schedule optimized, which is exactly what is currently selected as an active schedule. So this is a really just simple example. And now we will go into an already existing script, which I believe is also available on our website. And if you go to BEXEL user area and log in with your account, you can go to material section, and in the API scripts, you can find this kind of useful utility scripts, which you can use and play with and customize and change to your needs. Also, we offer some free add-ons for BEXEL Manager. For example, the model checkers for IFC or NatSpec, the selection set importer, which can help you import selection set structures from Excel, or even export and import cost assignments into GAIB format. So going back to BEXEL Manager, we will run through this script and briefly explain what it does. As we saw before, the script basically takes the active project, takes the active schedule, declares a couple of variables here, a couple of collections to hold our total cost and start dates and finish dates. And basically what this script will do, if we run it, it will go through the currently active schedule and get cost information associated with each element in the project according to the schedule, and also the start and the finish date of each element based on this currently active schedule. So it will run a simple for each loop here and get all the leaf tasks and get all the elements in those tasks, and it will put the price of this element in the total cost collection. If the element is already there, it will just add to the total sum cost to that particular element. For the start and finish date, we will the start date for the element will be the earliest date in this particular schedule, and similarly for the finish date, the the latest finish date will be the finish date of that particular element. And the next block is basically saying, I wish to begin changing this project, and I will run through all the elements that I collected before, and I will say, if I don't have the property total cost on this particular element, just add it and write to that property what is the cost according to the currently selected schedule, and what is the start date, and what is the finish date. If we go ahead and run this, it will take a couple of seconds. It says script executed successfully. No, nothing else is returned. We'll go ahead and close this. If we select, for example, a wall here and scroll down, we can see that we got a new group here, which is called schedule, and the finish and start date are present, and also the total cost for this element according to the currently selected schedule is also there. So that would be this script. So what we are going to do now, we'll jump into Visual Studio. I will close BEXEL Manager for the moment. We'll jump into Visual Studio, and we will basically do this exact script both as a command and as an application to show what can be achieved. So because I forgot basically to copy the code, I will do it from here. Okay. Basically, when we create the command, we implement some external command interface here for this class, and I will just go ahead and paste. This is exactly the same code. So we will just modify this to be as it was written in BEXEL Manager. So in the script, so we will get the currently active schedule and summarize everything and so on and so on. And for example, we additionally declared one variable here also that will count how many elements did we actually update it. So how many elements did we actually change in this execution. And to display that to the user for this command, we will just go ahead and say total number of elements changed, and say, okay, show me this variable at the end. So this will basically pop up a dialog box showing the total number of elements changed once we execute this command inside BEXEL Manager. So if I go ahead and just quickly rebuild this, okay, it succeeded. And the way how you can set up this environment inside Visual Studio to create your own add-ins and commands is basically described in our API getting started guide. So on our website, you can find it under BEXEL Manager API. So basically, it will describe step by step how you set up inside Visual Studio to use BEXEL Manager API and develop your own add-ins. So I will go ahead now and click start. What this will do is basically run BEXEL Manager and load our add-in inside it. So right now we will just load BEXEL Manager and open the same sample project. But as we will see in a couple of seconds, when we go to add-ins tab, there will be now something new showed. Okay, so we got our project open. If we go to add-ins tab, we can now see we got this external commands drop down. If we click on it, we can see exactly the name of our external command. So if we go ahead and click on it, it says total number of elements changed is around 11,000. So it basically executed the exact same script we just showed and just additionally displayed this message box. And also what we have in this solution, which I didn't show, is that we also have declared an external application, and this application is made that when we click on the button, what we can see here is a handler on the button click, it will show a dialog, and that dialog will look something like this, and it will list all the schedules available in the project. And if we click run, it will run the script for the selected schedule. So it's now using the API to list all the available schedules. So we are not relying on the currently active one. We can actually choose which schedule we wish to use. So this is the benefit of having your custom UI. So let's go ahead and maybe just select anything. And if we click run, it will basically execute the same script again, and it will show us that it changed the elements. If we just go ahead and select anything and go through schedule, we can also see that there is new properties added to this element according to the schedule we selected in this add-on here. So basically that would be it in this really brief introduction to BEXEL Manager API. We highly encourage you to go on our website and to check out all this documentation and check out this API getting started guide. It's really simple. Just in a couple of steps, you can download Visual Studio and install it for free, and then just follow this guide to get you started with developing your own commands and applications and extensions for BEXEL Manager. Or you can go to our user area, download some of the existing, or download some of the existing scripts and run them directly inside BEXEL Manager. So we'll now have around 10 minutes for Q&A, and I will just stop sharing the screen at the moment and just go through Q&A. So we had a couple of questions here, so I think most of them are answered. When is the new version 20? download. So not suppose what is the question about. So the currently the 20.2 version is available to be downloaded. We are also preparing an update to the public version of BEXEL Manager, which will come sometime around the beginning of next week. So stay tuned for that. And yeah, it will contain some of the latest patches and some newer features, regarding Power BI, or also some improvements and bug fixes. So stay tuned for that. And yeah, if that is all for the questions, I would wish. Okay, so we got another one. Typically executed. So we have some question about consulting services. I would ask you to kindly write to our, because this is not currently the topic today, that may be better answered by some of our other colleagues. And another question we got regarding something about online projects. Yeah, also not the topic of today's meeting. So we'll answer this offline once we finish today's webinar. So if you have, is there a separate about API? Separate what? Could you kindly elaborate on that? Oh, okay. Yeah. So sorry. Webinar about the API may be scheduled for some of a dedicated API webinar may be scheduled for some of the next webinar sessions. Of course, depending on the interest shown in that. So yeah, stay tuned, and I hope in the next series of webinars we'll have just a dedicated session on the API. And also the recordings of today's webinar, of course, will be sent out along with all the scripts and files that were used. So you will get to download that, and you can listen it at your own leisure. So if that is it, I would wish to thank you all for your attendance and your attention, and attending today's webinar, and attending this entire session, which is ending today. Hopefully we will see you in some of our next webinar series as well. So until then, stay safe and stay healthy, and I hope to see you all soon in some of our next webinar sessions. Have a nice day, everyone. Bye bye.